The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized for 1 hour.
Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of debate only, I yield the customary 30 minutes to the gentleman from Massachusetts, my friend Mr. McGovern, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized for as much time as he wishes to consume.
During consideration of this resolution, all time yielded is for the purposes of debate only. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, the Rules Committee met and reported a rule for consideration of 2 important pieces of tax legislation, H.R. 644 and H.R. 636. The resolution provides a closed rule for consideration of each bill and provides for 90 minutes of debate, equally divided between the chairman and ranking member of the Committee on Ways and Means on each bill. In addition, the rule provides for a motion to recommit on each bill. Mr. Speaker, most of my colleagues will remember the House's consideration of H.R. 5771, the Tax Increase Prevention Act of 2014, in December of last year. At that time, more than 50 individual tax extenders were retroactively extended for the 2014 tax year, giving businesses just 12 days to make complicated investment decisions. That's no way to run a business. Every time I'm at home, I hear from Oklahomans who either work for or own small businesses. Without fail, they tell me that certainty is what they need most from Washington. But too often, Washington tells Americans who operate and work in small businesses to trust us. We promise to extend X or Y or Z tax provision indefinitely. Unfortunately, those Americans can't take that to the bank. They can't take our word that we will actually be able to deliver on the promises made by Congress. The only thing they can rely on is the law. And if our tax laws expire every year, it injects an uncertainty into business environment that inhibits economic growth. Even though we were able to retroactively extend those tax provisions at the end of last year, they're already expired again. Instead of continuing this cycle of uncertainty, it's important to put these tax cuts in place early so that we don't end up in a situation like we did last year. I applaud Chairman Ryan for beginning early this with provisions we all agree on. This rule will provide for consideration of permanent extension of 7 different tax provisions like Section 179 expensing, and provisions like extending the deduction for IRA distributions to charities. All of us, Republicans and Democrats, have supported these measures in the past, at least on a temporary basis. These are tax provisions that we retroactively extended less than 2 months ago. Why shouldn't we make these popular tax provisions permanent and do it now, not retroactively late in the year? Mr. Speaker, some have criticized this legislation because it, quote, isn't paid for. I think Chairman Ryan said it best in the Rules Committee on Tuesday. These are provisions of the tax code which we routinely extend year after year. They are effectively part of the existing tax code. Permanently reauthorizing them reflects the policy this country has maintained for years under both Republican and Democratic administrations and Congresses. And doing so provides businesses with the certainty that they desperately seek. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to take a few moments to note that just as we have had to examine and pare back the discretionary side of the budget, we need to examine and pare back the tax side of the budget. There are over 200 tax expenditures or spending on the tax side of the ledger that, if all extended, will cost the federal government more than $12 trillion over the next 10 years. Many of these provisions are worthy, but many others should clearly be eliminated. The sheer complexity of the tax code and associated regulations should push us towards reform so that the tax code works for us all in the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend Chairman Ryan for beginning this process in earnest and look forward to consideration of additional measures at the appropriate time. I urge the support for the rule and the underlying legislation, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Oklahoma reserves his time. What purpose does the gentleman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.